That's, for those of us of a certain age, this is a song that Spirit does this, and it's called Fresh Garbage, and it's a way to go into my conversation. And I mentioned earlier that out in DeKalb, there's a controversy brewing, and I have Dan Kenney on the line. How you doing, Dan?
Doing great, Mike. Thank you very much for having me on.
I'm happy to do it. Now, I know we don't have a lot of time. Here's what I'm thinking. Let's see where this conversation goes, and if necessary, we can bump over into the 9 o'clock hour a little bit, because I'm hoping some people are listening, and especially if you're out DeKalb way. And, you know, we come booming in on 92.5 there. I know some folks know about the plan to expand the landfill out in DeKalb. Now, if you go out that way, it's just off of I-88, isn't it?
That's right. It's right along I-88.
And, in fact...
The proposed expansion would lead from the 88 acres that it's on right now straight down 88 to the east about 2.5 miles, and it'll be about 50 feet high. So
it would be an additional 2.5 miles?
No, total 2.5.
Oh, so it'd be total 2.5 miles. And actually, from your website now, you're part of a group called Stop the DeKalb County Mega Dump. And by the way, if you want to call 773-838-WCPT, 773-838-9278. There's a lot of issues with this. Now, one of the most interesting issues, I mean, obviously, anytime you have a landfill, there are problems that come with it. If you drive down I-88 right now, you can sometimes smell the landfill already, right?
Yes, that's right. And there's also the issue of that usually comes with landfills, the plastic bags blowing out of the landfill, blowing across 88, getting stuck in fences, blowing into people's yards, things like that.
And there's also a grade school nearby?
Yes, right across 88. There's a grade school probably less than a quarter mile away. The other issue is that the existing landfill is already leaking into the groundwater in 2 different places. And many studies have shown that it's very dangerous to tie into an existing landfill that is already leaking.
Well, don't all landfills leak at one point or another, Dan?
Yes, exactly, they do. And that's one of the other issues that we're very concerned about. I'm a teacher, and I teach 9 and 10-year-olds. I teach 4th grade. And one of the things I care about very much is the fact that by the time they're my age, they will have a mountain of garbage, their landfill will be full, and they'll have to look other places for their solid waste, and they'll also have to deal with all the environmental issues that go with it. Because, as many of your listeners might know, waste management has a very long and dark history when it comes to following through with doing what the Environmental Protection Agency expects of them.
And, of course, Waste Management is the organization that runs this landfill and is requesting the expansion. Now, right now, from what I understand, you can correct me if I'm wrong about this, it accepts only DeKalb County refuse?
Yes, that's right.
But if
at the present rate, if they expanded it 1/8 of the distance they're planning to expand it, just to do our own solid waste for our own county, it would last us for many generations. And what they're doing is instead making it possible so it'll be filled up in just 46 years. And so that's one of my concerns about it. And I think we also have a situation here. You know, I don't want to demonize the county board. I know that I've known members of the county board for years. I know members of the county board who care very much about environmental issues. But we have a situation out here that's duplicated in many places around the state and around the country, where the waste management is desperate to find places to put their solid waste, especially from the 16 northeast counties that they plan to bring the waste from to DeKalb, including Cook County.
And that's one of the things that has some people up in arms in DeKalb, is that right now it accepts waste only from DeKalb, but if you expand it, it would be accepting waste from all of the many of the northern Illinois counties.
Right. It would be accepting, under the host agreement, it could accept waste from any of the 16 northeast Illinois counties, including McHenry, Cook, Will, other places.
Well, let me ask about that. I mean, you're talking about the board. Does the board make the decision on this, or do they just hear? There's a hearing tomorrow, and that's one of the reasons we're doing this conversation. You and I are having this conversation right now, and it's at 9 a.m. At Jenkins Auditorium on the campus of Kishwaukee College. That's at the intersection of Malta Road and Route 38 in Malta. And it goes at 9 a.m. And will go as long as 5 p.m., but might even extend to the next day if not all the information comes out, or if there's a big crowd, right?
Yes, that's correct. And also, usually when a landfill expansion is contested, there are lawyers for both sides. We do not have a lawyer for our side, so the citizens would be representing themselves. But usually if it's contested, it could last as long as 60 hours.
So why don't you have a lawyer for your side?
Well, one of the reasons is because we got into this late. One of the issues for me also that your listeners might be interested in when they're concerned about environmental justice is that there was very little about this. There was an occasional article, the host agreement passed, things like that, but unless people were very involved and active and paying attention, they didn't realize what was coming their way. I talk to people every day who say, I had no idea that they were expanding to that size. What this is going to bring into our county is 92 semi-loads of garbage every day from all those surrounding counties, and there's just huge impact. We're going from about 400 tons a day to over 2,000 tons a day of garbage being put into the landfill.
Well, I can tell you right now that we're gonna bump this conversation over to 9 o'clock. So, but real quickly, I want to go to line 2 and bring in Louisa. Hi, Louisa.
Hello.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just thinking about a commercial I saw on PBS, and this factory changed a landfill into energy and is running their factory on it. And I'm thinking, this is a blessing in disguise if they know how to, if they can work the technology to use that energy that's being created through this garbage.
Well, I think that's actually a really good point, that you can use some, there are technologies that can use the methane and the other gases from there, and I'm going to put you back on hold, Louise, and I appreciate that. And Dan, why don't we address that when we come back right after the 9 o'clock news, because I want to talk about what's the upside of a landfill. I mean, I don't necessarily know whether it's all downside, but I also want to talk about the issue that you brought up, which is how do people learn about these, this situation, and how do they respond, and were they given adequate notice, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, hang on. That's Dan Kenney with a group called Stop the DeKalb County Megadump. We'll get back to that conversation right after CNN News at 9 o'clock. This is the Mike Novak Show on Chicago's Progressive Talk. I hope you stick around. You can give us a call, 773-838-WCPT.